I didn't much care for the previous Star Trek spaceship interiors, which seemed more like the carpeted corridors of a Holiday Inn than a functioning spacecraft. There wasn't much I could do about the cavernous Enterprise bridge set, which I inherited along with other pieces of the previous film, but I did attempt to add a lot of blinking lights. I wanted everything to be as nautical as possible. I wanted cramped spaces like on real warships with lots of instruments and glowing dials. I tried to make things more authentic. For example, in Star Trek VI, I experimented with the absence of gravity, as I'd seen it on film shot aboard the space station. I also attempted to remove the sound of spaceships, since in space there's no sound, but that didn't work. When you removed their roar, Enterprise and Reliant looked like what they were, models. But I did insist that inside the ship, there was always an engine throbbing somewhere, the heartbeat of the ship. Star Trek arguably doesn't promise superpowers, but it does hold out the promise of realizing our own potential. Star Trek holds out the prospect of possibility, of the belief that human beings may never be perfect, but that striving for perfection in the spirit of intelligent and humane inquiry is a legitimate and desirable goal. The final frontier turns out to be right here. Meet me there. Thank you. I'm happy to answer questions.
A little bit more of William Shatner and Leonard Nimoy that the average person is not seeing, that you saw firsthand, even more so than was it you exposed in your book?
I think people are complicated and making sweeping generalizations about Shatner or Nimoy or anybody else. It turns out that people are fallible, we can be bad-tempered, you have no idea what's going on. Everybody connected with Star Trek writes a memoir. And so whenever I'm in a bookstore, you remember bookstores, and I see a Star Trek memoir, I immediately go to the index to see how I come out. And so I looked up Leonard's memoir, and I found that during his death scene, he was very angry at me because I came to film the dress scene dressed as Sherlock Holmes. I've never dressed as Sherlock Holmes in my life. Never. And so what was he misremembering? What he was misremembering was that I was wearing a suit. And I was wearing a suit because when we wrapped, I was going to the opera. And in those days, when you went to the opera, you put on a suit. But it is, and he was, I think, feeling very ambivalent about shooting his death scene. He was suddenly having second thoughts about the whole thing. So he was testy. And anybody, Bill, they all had their strong points and these are a bunch of people, remember when you're talking about Star Trek, these people were working actors who had been in various television shows and this and that, and the fickle finger of fate in the form of Gene Roddenberry had gone, you, and suddenly they were yoked together like Siamese quintuplets for like the rest of their lives. The best Star Trek movie is Galaxy Quest.